When you understand the power of words, you realize that they are not just sounds or letters. They are tools that can influence attention, spark curiosity, and leave a lasting impression. In human psychology, emotions are the gateways to memory. Women, like everyone, are naturally drawn to experiences and interactions that make them feel something, whether it is intrigue, admiration, or genuine connection. When you say the right words at the right moment, they do more than fill silence, they create a mental imprint. These words become triggers, tiny sparks that awaken feelings and thoughts long after the conversation ends. It is not about trying too hard or being overly clever. It is about choosing expressions that resonate with her internal world, words that align with her emotions and her sense of being understood. This is where the science of attention meets the art of communication. When you connect emotionally, you are not just speaking, you are planting seeds in her mind that continue to grow, replaying themselves like a favorite melody she cannot stop thinking about. The key is not to force emotion, but to inspire it naturally through awareness, empathy, and authenticity. The reason this works is that the human brain is wired to prioritize emotional experiences. We tend to remember events and words that make us feel, more than those that are neutral or purely factual. This means that if your words spark a feeling, whether it is excitement, curiosity, or reassurance, they will linger. Female psychology emphasizes this even more because women often process experiences with heightened attention to emotional nuance. Simple phrases, delivered with genuine intent, can create these mental imprints. For example, a comment that acknowledges her unique perspective or thoughtfulness does not just flatter, it validates her identity and makes her reflect on your interaction repeatedly. These moments are subtle but powerful. They do not require grand gestures or forced charm. The magic lies in understanding the emotional weight behind every word, recognizing what will resonate, and delivering it in a way that feels effortless yet meaningful. When you consistently use words that trigger positive or intriguing emotions, you create a cycle of mental engagement. She begins to anticipate your thoughts, your reactions, and the way you communicate. This does not happen overnight, but with conscious effort, you become someone whose presence in her mind is natural and enjoyable. Emotional triggers work because they speak to her subconscious as much as her conscious attention. They are the invisible threads that connect you to her mental space, making her think about you long after the conversation ends. The goal is not to manipulate, but to inspire thoughtfulness and genuine curiosity. When your words touch her emotionally, they become memorable. They are recalled effortlessly because they made her feel something unique. This is the essence of emotional triggers, the ability to craft language that moves beyond ordinary conversation, creating an ongoing presence in her thoughts. The human mind is naturally drawn to things that stand out, that are unexpected, that break the routine. Novelty is one of the most powerful forces in capturing attention because it interrupts the ordinary and sparks curiosity. When you understand this, you can begin to communicate in a way that naturally makes her think about you, long after a conversation ends. Women, like anyone else, respond deeply to experiences and words that feel unique or refreshing. When your words carry an element of surprise, cleverness, or insight she did not anticipate, they ignite her imagination. These moments create mental bookmarks, little flags in her mind that she returns to, thinking about the conversation and your perspective. Novelty does not have to be loud or flashy. It can be subtle, intelligent, and meaningful. A phrase that frames an idea in a new way, a question that challenges her thinking, or an observation that is uniquely yours, all of these can create a lasting impression. The more original and authentic your words, the more likely they are to linger. Our brains are wired to pay attention to the unexpected because it signals significance. Ordinary statements blend into the background, easily forgotten. But when you introduce something different, her mind registers it as noteworthy. Female psychology highlights that women are particularly attentive to cues that indicate depth, creativity, or genuine thought. A simple, unique word or a slightly unconventional perspective can create a ripple effect in her mind. It activates her curiosity, making her replay the interaction, analyze your meaning, or wonder what else you might say. This is not about being overly eccentric or trying too hard. It is about presenting your thoughts in ways that are memorable. The key is authenticity. Novelty resonates most when it aligns with your genuine personality. Words that feel forced or artificial are quickly dismissed. But when your originality shines naturally, it creates an impression that is impossible to ignore. When novelty is paired with emotional relevance, it becomes unforgettable. Her brain remembers what surprised her because it also engaged her feelings, whether it sparked amusement, intrigue, or admiration. Even small moments, like a clever insight, a fresh analogy, or a new perspective on a familiar topic, can become a mental anchor. These are the kinds of interactions that make her think about you repeatedly, not because of pressure or expectation, but because her mind wants to return to something interesting, stimulating, and enjoyable. Novelty creates a pattern of attention that feels effortless yet powerful. By consistently introducing thoughtful originality in your words, you become someone whose presence is naturally memorable. You are no longer just part of the noise. You are a highlight in her day, a source of curiosity and reflection. This is why understanding and using novelty thoughtfully is an essential tool for making a lasting impression. Compliments are powerful tools, but their effectiveness depends entirely on how they are delivered. Generic praise, like saying someone looks nice or is smart, often fades quickly because it does not feel personal or meaningful. The true impact comes from subtle compliments that recognize uniqueness, insight, or individuality. Women, like anyone else, respond to words that make them feel truly seen. When you notice a detail about her perspective, her humor, or her creativity, and express it in a thoughtful way, it leaves a lasting impression. These words are not about flattery, they are about acknowledgement. They demonstrate that you are paying attention, that you value what makes her different, and that you appreciate her presence on a deeper level. Subtle compliments trigger reflection. She begins to recall your words and the feeling they inspired. Over time, this makes your presence mentally persistent because your compliments carry emotional weight that generic statements cannot achieve. The key to subtle compliments is specificity. Broad statements often feel empty, while focused observations feel authentic. Instead of saying, "You're smart," you might highlight the clever way she approached a problem or the unique perspective she shared in a conversation. Female psychology shows that recognition of one's individuality, no matter how small, creates a sense of validation and emotional resonance. These are the moments she will return to in her thoughts, replaying the conversation and the feeling it created. When delivered naturally and confidently, subtle compliments feel effortless yet meaningful. They do not pressure her or demand attention. They gently make her aware that you see the value in her character, her mind, and her actions. This balance is what makes subtle praise memorable and impactful. Another important aspect is timing. Compliments are most effective when they arise organically within the flow of conversation, rather than being inserted artificially. When you notice something in the moment and respond thoughtfully, it shows genuine attentiveness. Women, like anyone, are highly attuned to authenticity. They can sense when words are carefully constructed versus when they are heartfelt. The combination of authenticity and specificity makes subtle compliments stand out in her memory. By consistently acknowledging her individuality in this way, you create mental triggers that reinforce positive associations. She begins to think about the moments you shared and the way you made her feel, which strengthens your presence in her mind without any effort on her part. Over time, this builds a natural sense of admiration and curiosity, driven by the emotional impact of words that truly resonate. Curiosity is one of the most powerful tools for capturing attention and staying in someone's mind. When you say something that sparks curiosity, you are not just sharing information, you are inviting her mind to engage, to explore, and to return to the thought later. Women, like anyone else, are naturally drawn to ideas that are intriguing or slightly mysterious. When a statement or question is carefully crafted to be thought-provoking, it triggers mental loops, compelling her to think about the conversation long after it has ended. These loops are created when she wants to fill in the gaps, understand your perspective more deeply, or imagine possible outcomes. By using words that are open ended or suggestive without revealing everything, you create a mental pattern that her mind cannot resist. She begins to replay the interaction, not out of obligation, but because her brain finds it stimulating and enjoyable to revisit the thought.